Everyone, welcome back to another lecture series on artificial intelligence. In this video, we will see how to code neural network with backpropagation in Python. So you can find the code well on machinelearningmastery.com and you can see how it works, right? But in this video, I'll be explaining about how this code works one by one, each function. So in one video, it will not be possible. In this video, I'll give about the project in which we have used wheat seeds data set, and in this data set what we do is we have taken wheat seed as example. So these are the data set having three classes like 1 0 and 2, right? And this has records of 201 record, 7 numerical inputs, 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7 inputs, and this is output, right? Label. So these are the features and then output. So we'll use this data set and we'll use our random weights to update the weights to finally get the trained model, right? So how this training happens from uh, zero, like scratch. This is our data set actually, right? So it has three classes, 1 2 and 3, right? You can see, well, see, so three classes participation has to be done. So we'll use this code here and let's see how it works, right? So this is our code. So in this code, what happens? First of all, the first and foremost step is to have the data set. And we have taken seed 1, and that is for just random things. And then data set is your. These are the data set along with the labels like 0, 1, right? So in this, we have taken only two labels, 0 and 1. So we'll be having binary classification actually. So we have taken this length of the network. Finally we have the network, and network gets initialized. We call the function initialize network. That forms a network, right? So this network is a set of random weights, and this is in you can see, these are the number of rows and this is number of columns. So number of hidden layers, and this is row is number of hidden inputs, and then n inputs plus 1 is a column. Similarly, an outputs for the output layer. So we have two layers like hidden layer, then output layer, and then we have this network, right? And activate, what does this do? Activate is nothing but forward propagation. We have 2 3 steps, and first step is to multiply weights and our inputs, right? So inputs is in inputs I, and this is our activation. Okay, so how do we get input? We see forward propagate network and the row. So row is here, and then neuron in the each layer will go one by one, right? So this is our data set. So for this network, we initialize with an inputs to and outputs we get here. So network initialize. When we call the train network function, right? We pass here network data set, and this learning rate maybe, and 20 is the number of iterations, I think. Yeah, it is. And then number of outputs, right? So train network function, let's go. Train network function does what? Train network is here, which we initialize just now, right? You see this one. And then we have train, right? So what is this train? Train is nothing but our data set, right? Okay. And we have this learning rate, number of epochs, and then number of outputs as well. Okay. So epochs will, number of for loop will run for the number of times we want to train our model. Outputs is forward propagation. Here we are calling forward propagation with network and row, right? So row is what? Row is nothing but, you see, row is here 0 1 2 something like that, right? We'll see what is row for row in dataset. So initialize network dataset 0.5 and outputs. Let's see what is this row. Okay, row in train. It means what? This is row. This is one row, right? This is another row, and this is another row. This is another row. So this is row, right? So in this row we have this columns. Okay, so output, for output we don't have to do anything. Okay, we have to take care of output. So outputs comes, expected is 0 for I and range of n outputs, right? 0, and expected is row minus 1 1, and then we calculate the error, right? So forward propagation is being called, and then we go to forward propagation function. Forward propagation function, what happens, we had to activate function. Activate calls neuron weights which were initialized, right? And then inputs. And what is input? Let's see. Activate function, we are calling input, right? Input is nothing but row, right? So we are passing that row input. Row is nothing but that input, this one, right? This one is one row, and this is one input. Okay, so we are passing this here inputs. Okay, neuron, then inputs, activate, and then transfer. Okay, so transfer function is called here. So after we get activation, we call the transfer, right? Okay, so transfer will what do what? It will take the sigmoid of it and then pass to the next layer. Okay, so transfer activation, and then finally we have the inputs, and new inputs is assigned to the actual output inputs, and then we get the inputs. In this way, we go to forward propagation. Then we have this backward propagation in which we update the weights, right? Okay, let's see. Forward propagation is called. And then we have the, I'll explain each function one by one, but in this video I'll give you overview that how it is working. Then we take out the error, and then we back propagate and update our weights, right? So update weights is this function. I'll not explain in detail about update weight. I'll not explain about back propagation error also. Forward propagation also I'll explain in detail in that video, right? And this one is row, and row is nothing but input. It becomes an input, so we multiply it each time, right? So what was it, the column? It was weights were nothing but 1 3. Similarly we have this input says 3 1, right? So that we could multiply, and then finally we get the next layer, right? So activate function is called, and then we have this we apply this transfer, and then we get. So in this way we update our weights each time for 20 times, and finally whatever weights is there, that would reduce our error. You can see here we have run it, error is reducing, reducing, reduce. So one by one we'll explain each function how it works. That's all guys. Thank you very much. Do subscribe this channel for more updates.